Okay, hi everyone. I would like to thank all of you guys for joining us on such short notice. Um, to be honest, I didn't expect this much people. We didn't expect this much people because we urgently had to organize this event, and it's really hard. I feel really loved for showing this much support to us, and I really appreciate it. Um, Okay, so first and foremost, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Minn Thurein Khant. I am Commissioner of Finance from Skyline College, ASSC, and I would like to introduce my fellow organizers from both CSM and Skyline College who make this event happen. So from my left, I would like to introduce Minn Khant, who is also who will also be one of the panelists. Can you introduce yourself, Minn?
Yes. Hi, my name is Minn Thurein Khant, but you may also address me as Edward. And I'm recently from Skyline College, and today I will be helping out this event as a panelist as well as a presenter. Thank you.
And the next person is my good friend from CSM Chapter 9. She is also part of ASCSM, and she is also helping out this event. And the next person is my friend Mia Chepong, who is also from CSM, and she is a student ambassador of international student program at College of CSM, College of Material. Sorry. Okay, and the next person that I would like to introduce is my other friend from CSM, my other friend Van from CSM. She is the vice president of communication of PTK organization. So since we have introduced people, let's get started. So I want to recap on this, the main purpose of this event. Since all of from the email invitation, I believe you all have already known the brief case about what's going on in our country, Myanmar, right now, with recent military coup. And this event, it's to raise awareness about things happening in my country, Myanmar, and we would like to ask for support for our Burmese community on three SMCD campuses, CSM, Skyline College, and Kenyatta. So yes, and for now, I would like to tell you guys about the agenda of the event. First, we will be providing the presentation, the background context, and things happening in our country, and then we will lead to our panel discussion with our panelists, and we will discuss some theme questions that we've already prepared, and then we will and then we'll move on to action part, which is the action that the attendees can do to support the cause, to support the issue. We will be providing reliable new resources to keep updated on our country situation. We will provide some petitions that you can sign up, and we'll mention some movement that we've been doing against the military coup all over the country. And then we will ask for the support from the district, we will ask support for our Burmese community from district level. So without further ado, let's get started on the presentation.
Right. So as the first person to present, I would like to introduce myself again. My name is Minn Khant. For now, I'll be the presenter, but you may also address me as Edward. As a forewarning, our presentation slides or our presentation material that is yet to come may contain some graphic content. So our attendees here, ladies and gentlemen, you guys may use your own discretion to view or not. Yeah, so just a forewarning. All right, so first, with these all given situations, I would really like to ask you guys this question, like if would you consider, like, would you imagine a situation that you were born or you were raised in the country where the constitution legally allows the military to intervene with the civilian government, like intervene everything, every affair in the country? Would you imagine living in a country where the military and the police that are supposed to be protecting you from the outside affairs, from the inside internal conflicts, those people that you who are supposed to protect you are actually violently chasing you down the roads and cracking down the peaceful protest and armed civilians? Would you imagine living in a place like that? Yes. This story is going to be about a small country in Southeast Asia named Myanmar, also known as Burma in this country. So Myanmar, or Burma, alternatively known as, is a small country in Asia, Southeast Asia, that has gained independence in 1948. To provide a little bit of history context. So since its independence in 1948, to be honest, this country, our country, has never been a very peaceful country. So we achieved independence in 48, but starting with 1962, there was the first military coup in our history. Again, during the first coup, hundreds of people were killed, especially university students. Freedom of rights, all freedom of expression, freedom of media, they were all violated since 1962. And again, in 1974, due to the internal conflict of the funeral of our Burmese UN Secretary General U Thant funeral, 100 more students were killed, riots will happen throughout the country, and again, the military brutally cracked down on students and unarmed civilians. This was first in 1962, second time in 1974, and the third time in 1988. There was another military coup in our country history. And again, thousands and thousands of streams of unarmed civilians and peaceful protesters around the country protested this military tyranny in 1988. And again, this military regime, not this military regime, that military regime at the time, again cracked down those people with blood, with sword. And that was like a huge, the biggest significant bloodshed in our history. And from 1988, again in 1996, and again in 2007, these history have been repeating again and again. And this finalized time, which is in 2021, February 1st, which is basically 25 days before today, the military staged another coup. Well, I'm gonna not say successful coup, but it was kind of successful because they overthrow and toppled the democratically elected Burmese government or Myanmar government that has been legitimately elected by the Myanmar people democratically by the 2020 general election results. However, the military regime used deception and all those diplomatic ways to get over, and now they're becoming the junta administrative council. And within the regime, our past history, our past tragedy, our past bloodshed history is going to repeat again. And this is one of the prominent reasons why we're trying to make this event. And I would like to end with a quote on my part that democracy under attack anywhere on this planet Earth is basically democracy under attack everywhere on this planet Earth. So without further ado, I would like to invite my good friend Tat Nai to compare and contrast these past revolutions, these past regimes, and how people have been suffering. So Tat.
So as he mentioned, as he has already just already mentioned about the history. So now I'm pretty sure you're all now familiar with the unlawful and illegal military coup that happened in 1988, which also leading to the 88 uprising during our parent generation. So that being said, Myanmar people are deeply concerned that history will repeat itself again. So before I give you any further information, let me give you a few insights on what happened to the students, leaders, and students who revolted against the dictatorship in 1988. A lot of people were sent to the jail, and some of them were slaughtered, and some of them were executed, and they were raped, and some of them never came back like forever. It was like they were erased from their existence. So this is according to my father, who witnessed, who was also one of the who also witnessed the massacre that happened during 88 uprisings. And he was one of the engineering students and who was part of the 88 revolution, and he got arrested for 2 years and he barely made it out of alive. So he explained it to me about this and how they have done to students back then. And at that time he was around in his 20s, and his youth was spent under their military dictatorship with very little to no resources to the outside world at all. So this happened when civilian government won the election. This 88 uprising happened when civilian government won the election by the 80%. So do you see the similarity between similarities as in the picture? So this sort of actions by the military in Myanmar to the people election can be traced back to 1988, our history. It is the same exact patterns that they used to come in power, and the last time went under their military dictatorship, and it took like 50 years to restore people voices, freedom, democracy, justice, and human rights. So as he talked about how his prime years were taken away, I could hear the sorrow in his voice. And our generation also grew up under the constant blackouts and very little to no internet. And the fact that I am able to speak and write in English is the proof of the sacrifices our parents have made to make sure that we have the propaganda-free education we could under such oppressive circumstances. So if we let this happen again, or if we concede, our generation and future generation will be in the dark environment, and it's like we are at the margin to be in the dark again, like in history. And I also want to be here like talking to you and inviting you to this event. And if only my country didn't open up the transition to democratic path in 2015. So every time I think about this, I was devastated, and it broke my heart, because if we let them carry on with this, if we don't put all we have in this, we as our generation who are full of potential will end up having our opportunity that our generation just started to have taken away. It hurts me that the lives and chances of my friends back home who have a lot of potentials are at risk. And also, like, every night in Myanmar, military casually shoot the gun and break into our houses, drag civilians out of their houses and arrest them, arrest whoever they want for no reason or even without any warrants. So the life of our families and parents are not safe anymore at this point. And every morning I wake up wondering who has gone missing and who has been detained. So I'm going to end my part here, and Nietzsche will be talking about what is happening in Myanmar right now in terms of victims and police brutality.
Hello everyone, I'm Nietzsche. Well, I'm gonna talk about what really is happening in Myanmar. Like, what are the things that international news are not really mentioning about it? So first of all, from what I've seen, international news mostly mention about how they're using rubber bullets or like water guns to the peaceful protesters. However, in reality, they're actually using real guns. And this can be proved by the people at the protest where they found these real bullets in it. And here, these are the photographic evidence too. And this is a real violence, and this shouldn't really happen at all. And also, there has been a total of 16 deaths caused by the military, but I've noticed how the international news has only covered one so far. And also, what I meant by 16 deaths is only recorded up to February 20. The list does not include from February 20 to February 21 to 26. And from these deaths, they're all from like run by a car, fire, from torture, abuse, and gun violence. And looking from these, you can really notice how they have no mercy for any kind of gender, any people from any kind of background or any age, and even like there are deaths from little children like 10 years old, and also elderly have been abused by them too. It is really heartbreaking. And also, they also caused this indirect death, which is secondary murder, which can you go down more? Which the little kid who really need a heart surgery, and he needed a special cutter for his heart surgery, and New Zealand was supposed to send out the facilities for this surgery, and however the military did not accept the flight to enter the country, and sadly the baby died from that. And it's not just that. Also, with this COVID situation happening, we have vaccines imported, and we have not even used it on the civilians yet. And then the military use it for themselves, for their own soldiers, not for any of the citizens, and they're just using it for themselves. And also, we had in India vaccines from India flight that is coming to Myanmar. That was coming to Myanmar, and however, they did not let that flight came into too. So this shows how little they care for the citizens of Myanmar. Also, in this picture, the little boy, it was just last night. This just happened last night. The little boy was shot by the slingshots, and you can see the scars on his face, and actually the damage on his leg was worse, but I did not include it because it's really graphical. Yeah, this was the boy. Can you go down? And lots of protesters are arrested. It's not just the president, state councilor, or other democratic leaders. The reporters, many peaceful protesters, and even the bystanders are arrested. From February 22nd, a total of 684 people were arrested for the for protesting, and they could be charged. They could be jailed for 20 years under this new military law. And the thing is that the military is releasing the real criminals in the jails and putting the peaceful, innocent protesters behind the bar. And this really makes me so sad. You can see the pictures here about how military is kidnapping and the people. Yeah, and these pictures are about the protests that are ongoing. You can see thousands of people protesting on streets, risking their lives, fighting for freedom. And this can really prove how there really was no election fraud in there. Like looking at this amount of people. Yeah. Okay, I would like to conclude my part, and Min now will continue this.
All right. Thank you guys for providing the very detailed informations. That really helps us to. That really helps the our international society to judge on our current situation in our country. So um, since the event, the purpose of this event is to kind of ask for support for our Burmese community at SMCCD colleges, I would like to now attention to what kind of challenges has our Burmese community inside the U.S. and outside the U.S. has been dealing with during according to this military coup. So I will be addressing three main problems, three main categories. The first one is mental health. The second one is our financial problems, and the third one is our academic problems. For the first one, with everything you just see here, it's very hard for student here in US like us to even just wake up and start our day. We are peacefully studying here. We are doing our things here, but our friends, our families are living in constant fears of whether they will be died by beaten up by police, or whether they will get arrested for standing there for telling the world to respect our votes, to respect our voice. It's even hard for us to just keep staying here. Yeah, it's been a very hard day for us, hard weeks. So we are also living in constant fear about the safety of our family back home, and we don't know what kind of harm is going to happen to them, and we can't really do anything about that. So it's even worse for our friends back home. Most of them are actively participating in protests during the daytime, and they're also taking patrol. They're also having to protect their own family, their own houses, because the police and military, the so-called police and military, who are supposed to help our citizen, who are supposed to protect our citizen, they march into our houses at night and arrest everyone, every activist, arrest everyone who are actively participated in the protests or who supported the movement that they've been doing in the daytime. So it's been a really hard time for not only for us who stay in the US, but also for people, but also for our students, our Burmese international student back home. The other problem that I want to address is the finance problem. With the military coup happening in our country, majority of our people are participating in civil disobedience movement. So mostly all the business, including the banks, are shut down in our country. all the bank transaction across the country are indefinitely frozen. We don't know if we're gonna get financial support from our family for upcoming months. And being under F1 visa student, F1 visa status, we only have very limited resource, like federal grants, financial aid, or even the ability to work for our own survival. If we do not have financial support from our parents back home, we will not be able to survive here by ourselves. With all the bank transactions being frozen, we will not be able to pay for our tuition fees. And this goes for everyone, either students left here in US or students back home in Burma. Consequently, if we cannot pay tuition fees on time, we will get dropped out of classes, and eventually we will get our status will be lost, and we'll get deported back to our country, which is the last thing that we need right now. The other problem that we're facing is the academics problem, and that's the final and the most important challenges that we're dealing with right now. So where everything happens in our country, it's very hard for even students in US to, like I said, peacefully study as if nothing's happened. Due to all these problems, due to all these uprisings happening in our country, we have impaired focus on our academic staff at the moment. However, we can help but feel compelled to actively participate in protests and movement that are happening here in US, because that's the only thing that we think that's the only thing we can help our country right now, because we are free here in a free country where every voices that you make matters, and every voices are heard. So we need to use this opportunity to stand up for those who need our help back in my country. By actively participating all those protests and all those everything, our resources have we have depleted our resources like time and energy for us to focus on our studies. Also, for our fellows Burmese international students back home, studying will be the last thing the world right now. The internet is now being cut out from 12 a.m. to 9 a.m. every day. And during the daytime, when the internet is accessible, the connection is so bad because there's a lot of traffic going on. It's even quite difficult for them to attend Zoom lectures or either keep updated with the class announcements. And according to recent reports from our friends in Myanmar, the hunters are starting to ban essential applications for our students to continue their online learning system, like Zoom, Google Docs. Those kind of applications most likely to be banned in very near future. And also with military influence on our government, they're also setting new laws have major impact on our people. For example, the new immigration law, which restrict even our people to travel within the country. It will be a huge challenge for our Myanmar international student back home to come back here and continue their academic goals when time comes. These are all the challenges and difficulties that Myanmar international community of SMCCD County District on campuses have been dealing with. So, moving on to the agenda. These are all from this presentation. I believe you guys have very brief idea of what's going on in our country and the challenges that we've been dealing with every day. So right now, according to the agenda, I would like to invite our panelists. Rather than three panelists here, I would like to introduce you guys Vivian Paul, who agreed to be our panelist, and Ryan Sam, who agreed to volunteer to participate during our panel discussion. Thank you, guys. Okay.
Ryan, you want to go first?
Yes, I will be moderating the panel discussion. Okay.
Is it Vivian?
What's that?
Is it Vivian first or?
Oh, Ryan, you go first.
I will shut up. I will ask you guys the questions. Okay. So I would like to ask our first question to Myache Pong, who is also the Generation Z of our country and whose first time experiencing this military coup. Myache, I would like to ask you, how do you feel about the coup when you first heard, as someone who have never experienced this kind of dramatic political changes in our country?
Yeah, when I heard it for the first time, I was really in shock, and it was really unbelievable for me. And as someone who did not experience any of those coup things as previous generations did, I did not know what to do at first. I was very lost, and I also regretted about how I did not know much about those things, about the political things, and I have no experience with that. And also, since I'm in U.S., United States, I felt the privilege that I have by being here, because because the people in Burma are having trouble, and I'm here while I could be free. So at first I was lost about what to do, and I really wanted to help those people in need too, and also joining the protest in Myanmar too, because Burmese people are protesting by risking their lives there. I was very lost. However, by being here, I try to do things like spreading awareness to my international friends, and also signing the petitions, and also donating what I can to the organizations here. And yeah, this really affect me mentally too, because every time I go on news or maybe even social medias, I see news about how things are getting worse every day by day, and also about, even though it is like affecting me, I cannot ignore it at all, because that is really happening there, and that is a reality. So I have to keep seeing this, keep me updated, and try to do my best spreading awareness for this.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Someone who does not have the experience of this kind of very dramatic political changes. Yeah, the first thing I worry about is also how I have not learned these politics, and I'm really regret that I did not have much knowledge as I should have. Okay, thank you, Miache, for speaking of your own feelings. I really appreciate that. And I would like to ask Vivian Paul, who has experienced this military coup and the brutality of our military in the past, in our past coup and everything. How do you feel about the revolution that our people are doing right now, and how do you feel about the coup?
Well, first I live in here in United States over 15 years. So as soon as I heard about Burma, it was so upset, so angry. And still now, every day it's like it felt like feel not good. It just in pain in my heart. So compared to the past 1988, I was like maybe around 10. But, hearing all those like killing, seeing the headed, cut off the head, all those like bad memories bring back. So it's really like worry about this time again too. But this time, many of the civilians are on the street and supporting to the students. Everyone in it together. It's like, hopefully, we will win. The disadvantage of it from that 1988, from now, it's like over, 50 years that no one wanted to go back to that time, obviously the military is really like terrible, and they do everything. They're not afraid to do anything. So we really need to support, everyone in any way. So, you know, all we can do is, you know, we need to supporting each other, in especially financially as well too, to provide to them, you know, who are doing civil disobedient employee over there, because you know, they've been getting arrested, they've been getting cut off their salary, or they've been getting terminating from their position, such and such, all those stuff. So we really need to support to them.
Thank you, Vivian, for speaking out of your experience and your feelings about this recent coup. Really appreciate that. Next, I would like to ask Van about one concern that happens to all of us. So ever since the military coup happened, the internet has been cut off. The application have been, the Facebook is banned now in our country. So these are the some of the example of human rights violation happening in our country. I would like to ask Van about what do you think are the human rights violation conducted by the military, Myanmar Burmese military?
First of all, I would like to start by saying how the military is taking all of our rights, all of the citizens' rights. They do not care about human rights at all. They create laws for their own goods, but they also breach the laws when it backfires them. They fire live ammunition to disperse peaceful crowds. They kidnap some protesters and anyone who has high influence on people, such as actors, journalists who are against the military coup. Our citizens are not safe even in their own homes. They are being dragged out of their homes and get arrested. And they inject kits to create chaos among the crowds. They released over 23,000 prisoners to hurt the citizens. And there are so many other cases that Miet had previously covered. So the human rights violation conducted by the military is not at all unacceptable to me.
Thank you, Van, for speaking out for your own voice. Really appreciate that. Next, I would like to ask Ryan Sem, who is from Cambodia, and from perspective of our neighbors of Myanmar, how do you feel, or what's your take on this recent military coup?
First, I'd like to greet you also. Jamdip Suobong Paon Buma, or greetings to all our neighbors who are of Burmese descent. I would say that it's the most alarming, especially to wake up and hear of this news, not in the US news, but actually hear about it in the Khmer news, or the news from Cambodia or Cambodia. And also the Thai news is covering it quite extensively. I think that generally the neighbors in mainland ASEAN who are right by Myanmar are very alarmed, because as they know that either refugees or violence can easily spill into their own borders. And that being said, I do have Burmese family. It's my, on my dad's side, 3 of my grandpa's sisters all married Burmese. So it's very close to me, and it's very alarming for me to hear about the violence that's repeating itself from the 1980s. What's the critical, I'd say the critical pattern that we're seeing though, in general with our countries in Southeast Asia, are that the governments have different agendas, and they have different desires in terms of what power they'd like to hold at an international level. But what's critical is the pattern in which they execute it is the same. So we see that with particularly Laos and Cambodia, we see the same pattern that happens in Laos after they were basically, the Vietnam War was finished. The first thing the government did was they executed and mass executions of the Hmong ethnic group and continued to attack them, and then made Laos one communist and socialist state as one. I can't really call it either communist or socialist because it's not either and or. It's kind of a merge between the two. And then after that, own civil war happened. Once there's no more ethnic groups to persecute, they went after their own people and persecuted their own people. Same for Cambodia in the 1970s, the late 70s, that spilled into the 1980s. The Khmer Rouge, they had a systematic way of oppressing and honestly committing genocide on not only their own people, but first the Cham ethnic group. So all the Muslim Cham ethnic group were the first targets. Also, any Cambodians that were ethnic Chinese or had Vietnamese ancestry. And when there was no more ethnic groups to cleanse from their view, they started going after their own people, the Khmer. So if you look at that pattern in terms of, I had just answered somebody in the chat box who was talking about the Rohingya. The Rohingya, they're not the first and not the only ethnic group to be the target of the junta. It just so happens that their oppression is happening in an age of social media in which we're able to expose everything that Myanmar is doing at an international level. Not Myanmar, but the government. Because as I said, once they're done with the so-called ethnic cleansing, they go after the main population, which we're seeing now. They have no one else to press their agenda against. So it's now just against their own people, the Burmese people, which is not only wrong, but it's just a violation of human rights. So I had mentioned this in the chat as well, that before the Rohingya, it was the Karen. Today, 3/4 of the Karen live in Muang Thai, Thailand. They don't even live in Burma anymore. It's not safe for them. So we're talking about all this either genocide or mass executions of people, systematic murders, rapes, those things. But we forget too that the first thing that happens to people is their cultural identity is lost because they're afraid. They cannot even be Karen, they cannot even be Rohingya if they're afraid that the military will kill them for their identity. So these are issues that we're looking at, I feel, are inevitable in a country such as Myanmar because it's such a huge landmass, right? It's probably just as big, if not bigger than Thailand. Someone fact checked me on that. So 135 ethnic groups makes sense that there's going to be some conflict with those. And this is no way to validate or say that it's okay what happened. It's not, but it's just a pattern to look at. Again, once they're done with persecuting the ethnic groups, they go after the main population, which is what we're seeing. So thank you very much for having me and for allowing me to share my input. You know, I see the Burmese as my family, and I see them as relatives to me. So it's important what happens in Myanmar, and it's important that there's peace in the region because, like I said, if not, it spills into the other neighboring countries. So thank you very much. Akun.
Thank you, Ryan. Okay, so the next question is to one of our panelists, Minn Khant. So as someone who've learned in history about our past military coup and someone who is experiencing the recent coup right now, what do you think we can do to help defeat the tyranny in Myanmar?
My personal take on that is that throughout history, there has been peaceful protests and there has been violent crackdowns. And the usual pattern is that the peaceful protesters, after some amount of military crackdown, they tend to take, these protesters themselves tend to become more violent. So I think we should take extra precaution in terms of Burmese protesters in the homeland, that they do not actually exercise violence. I mean, you cannot kill, you cannot attack violence with another violence. It's just going to create more bloodshed. And, for an eye, it does just make sense to me. So I totally feel like these peaceful protesters should continue this way. But apart from these inside homeland Burmese, for the overseas Burmese, for me, I've been participating in the community-based activist groups Burmese activist groups, which have been rallying organizations, which have been rallying protests in Bay Area, in front of in the UN Plaza, in front of embassies, to show opposition to the military regime, and raise funds for those people participating in the movement and not going to the work in Burma. In addition, we've been actually coordinating a global campaign global diplomatic campaign where we try to draft letters to UN, other country, international community, asking for help, pleading for to watch over for the Burmese people human rights. When I say Burmese people, I obviously and definitely include everyone that is in the border of Myanmar, not necessarily Burmese ethnic group. I basically means every ethnic group. This is all about human beings. This is not just about Burmese or Karen or Rohingya. This is about being human and their rights as a human being violated by another human. Yeah, so I definitely think we should be very peaceful in terms of protesting and coordinate organized global campaigns, diplomatic and direct actions. Thank you.
Thank you, Edward. Thank you, Min, for sharing your opinion and your voice as to what's happening in Myanmar due to this recent coup. Okay, so we will end our panel discussion here. I again would like to thank everyone who participated in our panel discussion. The inputs that we learned from you guys' perspective. You guys each perspective are very valuable and very I really appreciate that for standing out, standing out and saying out your own feelings and voices on this military coup in Myanmar. So according to the agenda, let's move on to the action part, which is the action that the attendees can do right now. So I would like to invite my friend Nyeche to provide some reliable resources reliable new resources to keep updated with the current situation in Myanmar.
Yeah. Since this everything is happening, it's really chaotic, and fake news are all over the country, and some and fake news can even be there internationally. And the worst thing is that most of the Burmese medias are on military side, and they so the fake news or lack of details are happening in the news channels. So I would recommend these accounts, usernames on Twitter, that they post really reliable they are really reliable news sources, and they post really updated and correct news here. And from out of these people, first I would like to recommend the first username here. This is it is this person. He's Nyet Jotu. His account is the most reliable news source for me. It's really updated, and you can really get insights from his account. And there's Freya Cole she's a reporter for BBC World, and she posts really updated news from Myanmar too. Yeah. Thank you. And Minn Thurein will continue about the support and petitions.
Thank you, Miet. Yes. So if you guys want to follow up the recent affairs in Myanmar and promote awareness, these are the good news sources. And also, apart from these, following these headlines on the social media, we can definitely also make use of you guys participating in petitions that ask for the international community to put more pressure on the military junta in Myanmar. So just these two links that I have just shared in our Zoom chat. These are examples of the petitions that you guys, all of us, can participate in terms of asking for the international community to watch over Burma and impose economic sanctions, telling U.S. Congress to keep a close eye on the junta is acting against the human rights in violation. So apart from these petitions, I would also like to inform you guys that we are actually trying to, when I say we mean overseas Burmese people, as well as in the homeland Burmese people. We are all trying to get into political movement, part of which is we are boycotting the products and services from these junta businesses. Feel free to, due to our short-handed and urgent organization, I wasn't able to make a list of resources, but the closest one we have is Myanmar beer. So if you guys, in Bay Area, weather is nice, you go to a restaurant, you're gonna see Myanmar beer. You probably might like it or not, but yeah, Myanmar beer is definitely a product of a Myanmar junta business. So I would humbly like to, from here, I would humbly like to invite you guys to join us in boycotting the products and services from the junta business so that they can stop, or at least we can help reduce them trying to violate human rights in Burma and across the world. Yes, thank you. And from here on out, my good friend Min, MC, will continue with the support session.
Thank you, Edward, for mentioning those petitions. Yes, when he say when we humbly request you guys to join those boycott things, those things does matter. Every action and every support that we can get right now to either just to either weaken the junta business or to make it to make a negative impact on military junta right now. It's very, very important to us, and all the help and all the actions that we're taking right now, it's every action is counted, every action matters. I just want to find out to say that. Okay, so so now we're at the end of the agenda, which is the most important, which is the purpose of this event, is asking for support from our district. So as you all know, as you all have seen in the presentation, and as you all have heard from the panel discussion, I want to humbly ask for your support to get us through this situation. For those still residing in the U.S., the coming months will be challenging as the situation grows more volatile, and Myanmar faces continual information blackouts, dramatic value fluctuations in currency, in current exchange rates, and as I mentioned, the bank has frozen. So there's going to be delay, potential of monthly payments for our tuition fees, or monthly payments for our tuition fees, and tuition fees for both our Burmese international student in US and our Burmese international student back home. And the other thing is the Burmese students still in US, we're also facing challenges in paying for our living and tuition expenses. Only like I mentioned in a presentation, we only have very limited support, very limited resource to federal grants, to financial aid, and to even to work outside for our own survival. We need some kind of implementation from district, as district-wide, not just for particular campus. We need an action. We need a support from district to implement some kind of measure, some kind of precaution to prevent the essential payment delay or payment miss, which will lead to our loss of status and our being deported back to our country. And the other support that I want to ask is for transfer students, for students who are going to be transferring to Skyline College, for Burmese international students who are transferring here. They have with all the bank closed, they're going to have problem having to provide the bank statement that they will need to show to be able to take classes, to be able to attend our colleges. And we cannot use the bank statement here because the funds are not sufficient enough to prove that we're able to afford to attend colleges. So these are my two main support as from financial side of you to request request support from to the district. Again, I'll repeat. The first thing is implementations for payment plans and some kind of exemption for our international student to prevent us from being dropped out of classes and being deported. And the other thing is for transfer students who are not able to proceed with the formalities that we have to do to be able to attend a school. Next, I would like to invite my friend Van to ask for support from academic side.
Firstly, I would like to request all of the ladies and gentlemen who are here today for an academic support. It would be great if you could please email and inform all of the campus professors once again, apart from us emailing them, to be understanding towards the Burmese students. It could be about the assignment or exam deadlines, their decrease in focus and attention in classes. And secondly, we would like to request all SMCCD district to implement global online learning, GOL, in which a full-time student does not have to be enrolled for 12 units. This is really, really important for students in Myanmar since our time zone difference is 14 hours, 30 minutes. So the day and nights are switched and their internet is cut off every night. So they cannot attend their day classes at all. So we would really appreciate it if you could all support us in those academic support. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Van, for asking for support. Yes, like she mentioned, it's really this is a crucial time for us. Now, we're our fellow student back in Myanmar. They're not only fighting for our country's democracy, our country's future. They also have to fight for their not fight. They also have to worry about their own future, because if they get dropped out of class, they won't be able to continue pursuing their education goals here. Okay, so thank you everyone. I would like to again thank all of you guys here. I would like to thank you guys to show support by joining here in such short notice, and I would like to thank our district members, our advisors from Skyline College, and our advisor from CSM. I would like to thank each and every one of you guys who made this event happen. I could not have done this event without you guys, and I would like to thank my my friends from CSM and my friends from Skyline College who make this happen, who helped me organize this event. So now I've seen some questions and discussions happening in the chat. Now is the time. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, it's time for you to speak up, and we will try our best to facilitate to address your concern and questions.
And feel free to join us on video if you'd like during this time.
Oh yes, after that we're gonna if you want to join on our photo thing, we're gonna do the we're gonna take a photo with everyone, free bomber background, and yeah, post it on our social media. Is there any questions or any comments that you guys want to add?
I have a question.
Yes, Ryan.
I actually haven't seen much of it, and it's really bizarre because usually they're the forefront, but I'm wondering if they're restricted. So usually in our countries, when there's any type of protest, other than the students, I know it's the same for you folks, that it's the Sangha, or we call them the Sangha, or the monks, who are leading part of the peaceful protests. So I was wondering, I haven't seen them in any media sources lately. Are they just not being photographed, or are they being restricted? That's my question for this current coup that's happening right now.
I would say they're not being photographed. Actually, I've actually seen monks protesting on social medias, but I don't see that on international news. So I've only seen it from from my friends' posts or other Burmese people protesting posts from there. And actually, it's not just monks. Many other religion people from other religion are protesting along too. Like from Christian, from Muslim, I've seen all those things too.
Yeah, and in addition to what Mitchell said, I'd like to add that in 2007, which is the last revolution that we had in Burma, it was led by the monks. So, you know, the news media coverage is like totally all the saffron color of the monks' traditional clothes. But this time, it's not just necessarily monks leading, but monks still participate. But students are leading this 2021 revolution in Burma. Yes. So monks are there, and media coverage is still a little bit low, and they are part of it, but they're not leading like in a saffron revolution back in 2007.
My follow-up question for that is, are our temples here doing anything that they can to have some I don't know what you guys call it, but we call it bun. It's like a ceremony, and ask the lay people to give a donation. And then of course all the thing that happens after the ceremony is the donation that goes back to the country, right? So has anyone here seen anything happening in terms of that here?
I can speak for my side and Minn, who is the MC, that none of the Buddhist temples in the surrounding area, especially in the Daly city, we have not seen any movement on this particular action. But apart from these temples, people have been more secular towards this particular scenario, because they have formed activist community-based groups rather than religious-based groups, and they have moved onward into more secularistic movement rather than the religious one for this 2021 one, the revolution. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. Welcome.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have one more thing to add. Like I've seen all those pictures, and sometimes there are like fake monks that are going around. Actually, they're not even real monks. They're just people who are paid to act like monks. And I've seen all those around in Myanmar too. So I just wanted to add that.
I believe that because we have that too. It's really bad. Both Thailand and Cambodia have the whole fake monk issue. The government hires them and then they do bad things, and it makes the Sangha or the temples look bad. So yeah, I believe that totally. That's unfortunate.
I would like to answer to the Timothy's question in the chat about what is Facebook doing right now to help restrict inflammatory propaganda spreading on this app. So to be honest, from my knowledge, Facebook has not been proactively deleting or controlling the fake news. But Myanmar citizens or international community across the globe have been helping us out, contributing to reporting the fake news and the fake pages, so that they can control those fake news or misled news as much as possible. But Facebook, on its own corporation policy level, from my knowledge, they have not done anything for it. Yeah, nor any other social media. Yeah, sadly though. I hope that answers your question, Timothy.
It does. I wonder if the panel could talk about directing some energy toward getting Facebook to try to control its platform there, because I do understand that they offered this free data use to use Facebook in Burma for quite a long time, or in Myanmar. and this got people using it all the time. And then they had some of these very popular fake monks who are stirring up all kinds of hate against the Rohingya and other groups, and Facebook did nothing about that. So I wonder if there shouldn't be protest signs in Menlo Park at the Facebook headquarters, because I think there's some responsibility there because they're working with the government.
I also believe that we need to go make a request, or like some kind of like similar to the your advice to the Google as well too. Google page, when you search to the Daw Aung San Suu Kyi and who is a legitimate re-elected one, and they put it down as a former former president, those kind of things. So I have reported to legally, but all I receive is like, they have all other different kind of like steps. So maybe it might be a good, a good request to show, get their attention. We might have to do somehow those kind of things because they're in right here, Silicon Valley. So maybe we should do that. Thank you so much.
I would like to add something to in response to both Timothy and Vivian. There have the activist groups in the Bay Area, which is very close to Silicon Valley. Much of their energy has been focusing on in terms of responsive action to what is politically happening in Burma. But yes, those would be really good ideas to protest against or bring this issue on the surface of how those tech giant corporates are not doing or doing very less of what they're supposed to do to cover those fake news up. So yeah, thank you for the input. Me being a part of the organization groups, I will definitely put it up as the next agenda of the protests. Thank you so much, Timothy. Thank you so much, Vivian. Is there any other questions, concerns?
Timothy by far had the best questions.
Yeah, absolutely best and critical.
And I just want to say thank you from input from Timothy. We haven't actually thought of that, like protesting. Yeah, Facebook definitely needs to be filtering out some fake informations and do something about the military pages spreading fake news all over the internet. Thank you, Timothy, for that.
You're welcome.
All right. Any other questions from the audience, comments to add on? Oh, I want to say something to us.
Anything?
Can you send out the petition?
The CRPH petition?
Yeah. And please explain why we're sending it out. Thank you.
Of course. I'm on it.
Thank you, Zab, for pointing that out.
Meanwhile, is there any other questions on the audience end?
Just one question, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I've been teaching about the Rohingya crisis in my composition classes for the past couple of years, and I've been to Myanmar a couple of times in my life, and I feel very strongly and concerned about it. But the Rohingya situation is particularly alarming right now to me, and so we've been studying this. I'm not new to the issues. But I'm wondering if any of you might be willing to just join me for a few minutes in my classes when we start talking about the Rohingya in a few weeks, to just to connect them more closely to the issues there. If you're able to help me, I can just give my email address. It's Max. I'll just put it in the chat here.
Hi, Timothy. I'll be honored to be in your class and provide the experience or the explanation to the group, to your class about the recent Rohingya affairs. Yeah, I'll try my best.
That's great. Specifically, I'm asking my students to try to take action and to learn how to take action. So it'd be very appropriate. Thank you for your visit.
All right. I'll contact you afterwards on this event.
Thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, Vivian, sorry.
I have a question. Earlier, Min was addressing regarding about the finance for the international students. Have you ever reached anyone in the district office?
Yes, actually, we haven't personally reached out to anyone from district level asking for any precaution.
Okay.
And if you could refer me to who I should be reaching out to, that would be really helpful.
Okay. Okay, I will send you the email, the name and the address of the district people there who you need to talk to.
Yeah.
Min also
Yeah,
did
that's
a great job, Vivian, of contacting our student trustee, who, and Min requested that she speak directly to the board of trustees. And hopefully, Min, maybe later, after, now that we've had this event, we can send Jade a link to this event that we had, and see if she'd be able to request that they take some time to review that video, and then all the ASs can maybe work together to push forth some kind of document in which we can ask formally for some kind of changes to be made on behalf of our student bodies.
Right. Yeah, we definitely need that.
Yeah. Because for payment plan, if you're enrolled in payment plan, the payments have to be made every fifth of every month. So it's gonna for next month it's gonna be March 5th, and it's very close. And I've been connecting with my family back home, and they've been saying, "Oh, we'll try our best to transfer the money that we need, but we cannot do anything because the banks are completely frozen. All the transaction has been stopped." So that's actually one of the main concerns that I'm having right now, and I'm sure most of our Burmese community students are also having the same issue.
I have another question for Chicago, who is in charge of the director in the Skyline International Center right now. Chicago, do you have a list of the students who are currently taking the classes from back home? And I know that those students, the timing is off from here and over there, right? They have to wake up they have to stay midnight, or over the midnight they have to attend in the class. So do you know how many people are like having a difficulty? Do you hear? Because it's due to the internet cutoff at that time, 1 a.m. to the 9 a.m. in the morning. That's what the time that I believe some of the classes, maybe some of the international from back home, they might have a hard time.
Yes, definitely. So actually on the very next day of the day the military coup happened, it was on Monday. We received quite a few emails from our Burmese students, and I would like to thank those students for letting us know the situation right away. And it seems like they also reached out to their faculty members too. So I think it was great that they were very, they were very good about communicating with us. So at that point, we pulled the data, and we do know how many students are actually overseas in Myanmar. And for Skyline College, majority of the Burmese students are here in the U.S. But that being said, we cannot ignore those, several students back in their home country. So we pulled the data and emailed over 50 faculty members who have Burmese students in their classrooms to inform them of the situation in Myanmar. and let them know of the possibility of them missing the class and missing the assignments and so forth. And ever since we've been communicating with some of the faculty members, a lot of them are concerned. A lot of them are very supportive. So, so we are, very grateful of that support. But at the same time, obviously, we are still very concerned of the situations. I am just as much concerned about the Burmese students here as well. Like, I cannot even imagine being here all by themselves, disconnected from their family members. So I've collected this data and along with other data and submitted to the district international education team. And I know that they are collecting the similar data from the other two colleges, and that they are trying to look at the, look at the big picture and come up with some, tangible action items to support Burmese students. So, there have been definitely some discussions about it. And I also see Aubrey from GSM here. So Aubrey, if you have anything else to add, feel free to jump in.
Yes, thank you, Chicago. My name is Aubrey. I am Chicago's counterpart at CSM. So glad to be here to support our students and our community in this crisis mode. We have done exactly the same thing. We have also reached out to the faculties, members in our college to inform them about the situation and ask them for their understanding due to the internet cutoff. We have received an outpouring support from our faculty community as well. But knowing that the situation is not getting better, so we are concerned moving forward. We still have so many more weeks to go. So I do believe that this is a conversation we need to get our district office involved, which I have been advocating on our students' behalf. I understand that they are in discussion, so there should be very soon a statement coming out of the district office, so we can continue asking as well. So that's just my 2 cents here.
Thank you so much for all your help, and in Chicago as well too, alerting our faculty and then aware of it, making them aware of it for the situation. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for your inputs and for your support to this to our issue.
Hello everyone. Before we move further, I would like to provide another link to one of the petitions. This is the most recent petition, and to be honest, this petition was established by the Bay Area-based Burmese activist group. So this petition is to support the CRPH, basically saying committee representing Pidangsulador, which is a conglomerate of the democratically elected senators from the 2020 general election in response to oppose this Burmese military. So, however, this committee representing Pidangsulador is struggling a little bit to gain international recognition. So we are trying to ask international community to again and yet again support the CRPH and to delegitimize the military regime that is currently ruling in Burma. Yeah, so I hereby again humbly request you guys' participation in this petition that I shared the last in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Edward. Sorry, thank you, Min, for pointing that out for bringing that to our attention. Yes, our elected government, CRPH, our elected government, the CRPH is it's organized by our elected government, and we really need the international recognition. And it will be huge help to us if you guys could sign the petition and show the support for us. Thank you. All right. Again, thank you everyone. for your inputs and for showing support here. We really appreciate that. If there is no more question, we would like to invite all of you guys to join, to turn on your video and change your background to this file that I'm gonna send now, and join us in taking photo and showing support to showing support
So as we might have, as we might have aware, in a recent Hong Kong protest, people have been using the symbol of putting 3 fingers up, our index, middle, and the fourth finger. This is actually a cultural reference to Hunger Games. I'm pretty sure Hunger Games is quite a famous movie. So our Jennifer Lawrence actually put this 3 finger up in opposition to the military regime in the movie. So from that culture a reference, Hong Kong protesters also use this 3 symbol. Our Thailand fellow protesters back in the coup also used this, and now we're using this one too. So this symbol is to symbolize that we oppose the oppression and dictatorship and all the injustice in our humanity. So we cordially invite all of us, all of our attendees, to join us in taking this picture while putting up the 3 finger salute. Thank you.
All right, Brian, I am having connection difficulties here, so I won't be able to take photo. Or can you please take photo when you see everyone's ready?
Yes, I will. Okay, everybody, we're gonna go on 3. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.